And welcome back to Wake Up Memphis here on the Mighty 990, 107.9 FM, AM 990. So glad you're joining the show. And we want to end the show on a good note because a lot of you guys are making New Year's resolutions. Maybe you're doing it right now, even as we speak. That's all right. There's still time to make those. And want to talk to a special guest that has a list suggestions of ways to make sure you're actually achieving what you want in this new calendar year. Want to go to our phone lines and talk to Elizabeth Koraca. She is a life coach, and we'll get into her podcast ways you can find out more about her in just 1 second. Want to welcome you to Memphis. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Ben. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. According to a new survey, of the 41% of Americans who make New Year's resolutions, by the end of the year, only 9% say they feel successful in keeping them. Now, you're a career strategist, you're a TV contributor, you've been doing and helping people succeed in their goals. So how do we, myself included, end up in that 9% who actually get what they want in 2023?
Well, the people who are finding success with their New Year's resolutions often have a plan. They have a strategy. Those of us who are not achieving our New Year's resolutions often just choose one. Perhaps they want to lose weight or they want to be more healthy in the new year. And that's kind of where it ends. It's just a thought in our mind, and it just kind of gets swept up with the swirling and whirling with the everyday activities or tasks we have to do. And then by end of January, February, we often forget about it. But you don't have to fall into the resolution failure category.
And that's why I wanted to talk to you because, listen, I have found myself, Elizabeth, being in the rest of those Americans that get into the first week, and it's difficult to teach an old dog new tricks. So for people like myself who say we want to do better, but we slip back into our old habits and then we get discouraged, what's your advice if, say, it is February and we fall back into some of those habits?
Well, Ben, it's never too late to begin a goal or pick up where you left off, okay? It's never, ever too late just because maybe you've fallen off the wagon a little bit. But I'm going to tell you how not to fall off that wagon. You want to, number one, get specific. So if your resolution is being more healthy or living a healthy lifestyle, what does get specific mean? This is actually my resolution this year. For me, that means have a plan to exercise every day. That doesn't mean you have to do an hour of cardio. It could be a walk. It could be a hike. It could be a jog or yoga. I'm going to eat well, meditate, and meet with a nutritionist once a month. And then number two, make it a priority. If you don't prioritize what you want, how to make yourself feel better, this New Year's resolution or goal, it's not going to happen. And I want you to schedule it in your calendar because what gets scheduled in the calendar is what actually gets done. And number three, I want you to take action. And a good way to take action is also by knowing your why. The purpose behind it. Why do you want this New Year's resolution? Why do you want this goal? For me, it's to feel better, to keep fitting into my clothes, to be able to have the energy to keep up with my children. So by knowing my why, this is going to help me take action and move forward with this resolution.
That is good advice, knowing the why behind what you're doing. I actually didn't think of that, which is why you're the expert that we're talking to. This concept that I've found myself falling into, Elizabeth, is I come out with these ambitious, bigger than life goals. I want to run a marathon by February. So how do we temper those and make sure our goals, priorities that we're setting this year in 2023 are bite-sized, manageable? Is that possible?
It is completely possible. You want to make sure your resolution is realistic, in a realistic time frame. So if you're thinking, I want to run the New York Marathon or any type of marathon and you're 2 weeks away and you don't have the proper training, you know what? ask yourself, am I setting myself up for success? So give yourself the proper amount of time. So some goals are big and lofty, like opening a business, writing a book, training for a marathon. That could be 6 months. That could be a year. That could be 8 months. You want to make sure that time frame is realistic so you're setting yourself up for success.
We've seen, especially after the pandemic, that people are looking at their lives and wanting something different. What would you tell our listeners who say, hey, new year, not just new me, but maybe a new job? They say it's time for a career change in the upcoming year.
Yes. There's no time like the present to get on that bandwagon and start looking for a new job. But before you even do that, you want to think about and figure out what exactly it is I want to do. Do I want to do the exact same thing? Do I want to change maybe job descriptions but stay in my industry? Or do I want to completely change industries? You want to get as specific as possible. Write your pros and cons list for where you are now, right? And then visualize yourself and your career in 2023. What is it that I really, really want? That will help you get more specific. Write it down. And then when you're clear on what you want, then you go and ask other people that you've worked with before, other previous bosses. People know your work and your work ethic. You're going to go to those people and ask them for help because we often find jobs through people we already know.
Elizabeth Koraca, podcast host of the Speaking Up podcast, joining us in Memphis this morning. From your time just working with people and helping them navigate their life, and especially this time of year, what is the top New Year's resolution change that you oftentimes see with people? This is just me as a journalist curious. If you could break it down, is it the gym? Is it the shredding the pounds that maybe we gained over the holidays?
When I speak with my own clients and listeners to my own podcast, it's often living healthier, losing weight, and I feel like with a plan and strategy, it can work. I mean, for example, I lost 15 pounds just recently because I had gained them during the pandemic. How did I do it? Well, I got specific. I knew I wanted to lose 15 pounds. Number two, I made it a priority. Diet and exercise went to the very top of my task list. And then number three, I took action. I had a plan. I scheduled it in the calendar. And one really important thing I want to point out, it was also very helpful because my husband was going on this journey along with me. But that doesn't mean that, just because my spouse did it means everyone else's partner, spouse, or best friend needs to do it with them. But find somebody who can go on the journey with you. Find an accountability partner. Join a running group. I mean, whatever it might be, to have a group of people or a person who's going on the journey with you, who's keeping you accountable. It's so much easier when you have someone to help you along this journey.
Don't do it alone is what I'm hearing. And I like that. I like that sense of community. All right. We have about a minute left. Tell us quickly about the podcast.
Yes. So the Speaking Up podcast is all about getting what you want. So it could be in terms of, asking for a raise, changing careers, really trying to figure out how to internalize that feedback, whether you get it from home or you're getting it from a boss, how to make it so you're not feeling horrible and crummy about yourself. I started this podcast because I wanted to share the tips and tools with people I wish I'd had years ago when I was, insecure and when I wasn't a confident speaker. I am a former Reuters television anchor and journalist like yourself, Ben. So I know how it feels to be nervous about speaking in front of people. I used to be that shy and quiet person, and I really wanted to help people and share my tips and tools to speak with confidence.
That's incredible. And I checked out your podcast, and it is all that. You got to check it out. go to elizabethkoraca.com for more on that. Elizabeth, thanks for joining us in Memphis, and trust you have a great and happy new year.
Happy New Year to you and all your listeners. Thank you, Ben.
That does it for the last show of 2022. Hurrah, we made it.
Wow.
Go sleep a little bit.
Happy New Year.
Absolutely. You guys are the best in the world, and we are so thankful you spent this last year with us, and we hope we'll see you in the new year, which is when we'll talk next. Happy New Year's.